Welcome to Jump, your destination for all things MSU. If you've got a story, we've got the jump on it. We've started this series to highlight the voices of students and staff sharing their experiences, insights, and stories that make MSU Denver unique. My name is Megan Hofer, and today I'm joined by Natalie Nowak, registered dietitian and creator of Cooking with a Purpose.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
How are you
Thanks for
doing?
having me. Pretty good.
Good.
Yes, great to be here.
Yes, well, we're just bringing you here to kind of get some information on some resources that we have on campus that some students might not know about. So just kind of getting a little bit of insight into what Cooking with a Purpose is.
Sure. So Cooking with Purpose is a on-campus cooking class that I myself, the registered dietitian at the health center at Auraria, along with my colleague Maggie, she does health education and outreach in our department. We had collaborated with the hospitality building, and so about once a month we have a Cooking with Purpose evening program where students from CCD, MSU, and CU can all come for free. It's usually around 5:30 to 7:30. And we have a variety of different recipes. Sometimes we'll do make your own pizza with different toppings. We use fresh dough. This next one that we're going to do is a chana masala. And then we'll wrap it up, I think, with a gnocchi recipe as well. And we try to use most ingredients from Rowdy's Corner so that MSU students can kind of get some ideas on how to take those ingredients and make them at home.
Absolutely, yeah. You mentioned Rowdy's Corner. Do you mind telling us just a little bit about that and what it is?
Yes, so Rowdy's Corner is the food pantry that's located in the Tivoli, and that's exclusively for MSU Denver students. What makes that food pantry unique is that they do have fresh produce that gets donated and delivered on a weekly basis. They also have refrigerated items such as milk, eggs, cheeses, yogurts, and so any student who is enrolled at MSU Denver, at least taking one in-person class, I believe is the criteria, gets a certain amount of points that they can then use Rowdy's Corner on a weekly basis to do some grocery shopping. Of course, they have a lot of dried beans, maybe like add water oats and soups and pastas, rice, things like that, but also some more of those refrigerated and fresh ingredients. That is really awesome.
Nice, okay, that's really helpful. Can you describe kind of what goes into the evening kind of steps that you take to teach them?
Yeah. So we try to market the Cooking with Purpose classes through social media. I, of course, during my one-on-one counseling sessions, will kind of invite students to come to the hospitality building. But typically, there's about 6 stations, and so we can fill 4 or 5 people per station. So we kind of get a max of about 30 students, I would say. And I kind of center my station in the beginning, do a little bit of maybe knife skills, chopping, maybe 10 minutes of a demo. We always do kind of a popcorn style icebreaker, and so that students can get to know each other. What's really beautiful is seeing people come back and making friends and being able to sometimes people have brought their moms or they've brought their sisters or friends, which is just a really nice like community space. And throughout the demonstration, I might do some nutrition education, but then we really just kind of turn it over to the students to have their own little stations with knives and the stoves and ovens and be able to kind of chat amongst themselves and get to know one another as they're cooking. So it is an evening program. The goal is to make sure that students are fed for that night and then hopefully get some leftovers so that they might be able to have something for the next day or the following day and whatnot. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that there's a community feel to it as well.
That's my favorite part.
Have you gotten a lot of positive feedback from the community?
Yes. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. We probably want people, the biggest thing is like, can you do more of these? So we do it once a month. A lot of times people will register. It's a completely free event. A lot of times we do kind of fill our registration, but it's always good if you're on campus at that time to kind of pop in and see if you can snag a spot, even if maybe you didn't get off the wait list or something like that. I would say the biggest thing that students want is being able to have more of these.
Definitely.
Yes.
Awesome. I know like food insecurity and troubles with food can be kind of a sensitive topic. Have you noticed that that's kind of helped bring awareness to something that, college students all over the world struggle with?
Yeah, definitely. I think thinking about housing in Denver, thinking about students who are maybe commuting, students who have like a full-time course load and then, you know, only make a certain amount of money each month for themselves, it can be really difficult to have enough access to food, especially, you know, some of the more nutritious foods tend to be fruits, vegetables, that are fresh, and those are very, very expensive, right? So it's definitely a challenge to be able to have enough, you know, access to food and nourish your body well throughout the day. But then the other struggle is, okay, well, if I'm, you know, maybe transitioning from home to living on my own, and perhaps mom, dad, brother, or sister were doing more of the cooking, like I don't necessarily know what to do with dried beans, or I don't necessarily know how to pair, you know, rice or pasta with something else. And so those are a lot of the conversations that we might have at Rowdy's Corner, as well as Cooking with Purpose, to be able to give students recipe cards, different ideas on how they might be able to meal prep for the week with that low cost or no cost resource. So food insecurity is definitely something that, you know, I talk about a lot, and is something that we're mindful of when we're thinking about our recipe development.
That's awesome. Yeah, I grew up with a single mom, so learning to cook and stuff wasn't always exactly something I knew. So it's nice to have those resources, because you can have the food, but then you don't really always know what to do with it. So
exactly. And now too, with, you know, just fast casual restaurants, but also food delivery services, right? Sometimes you might just want to get something that comes straight to you. And so it can be overwhelming for somebody to even think of like, oh God, where do I even start with this recipe? But I find that doing it together at the Cooking with Purpose, especially when, you know, you might love the recipe and that's the goal, and then sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know if this is something I'd want to make, but it's so low stakes because you haven't paid for all those ingredients and then made something that you're like, this didn't turn out the way I wanted to. So being able to kind of get your hands on is a great entry point to just build confidence around cooking and making recipes that you will like and enjoy.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If students aren't able to make it to the classes, are there any additional resources that you guys offer, like online, or if they can come to you, or if anything that students could use as an additional resource?
Yeah, so just recently we started making videos of those recipes, and those live on both our YouTube as well as the Health Center's website.
Okay.
So if, let's say, you know, the registration filled up, you're not able to make it, but you want to see visually how to make fresh salsa or fresh hummus or chana masala or something like that, those all live on our website. And the nutrition services one-on-one counseling is completely free at the Health Center at Auraria. So whether you're a CCD, CU, or MSU Denver student, it doesn't matter if you have insurance or not. There's no barriers to that. And so sometimes people do prefer a little bit more of an intimate one-on-one conversation with myself, and then we might be able to look at things like food allergies or intolerances and say, okay, if these are the foods you like, these might be some recipes for you to try out. So yeah, it's not the only resource, but it's probably one of the favorite ones and my favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's important to inform students, because maybe a lot of them don't. I mean, I definitely didn't know any of this, so it's good to put it out there.
Yes.
Do you, off the top of your head, do you have like a quick, easy recipe that is a go-to for like beginner students?
Yeah, so I always like to think of if you're not cooking at home and you do go out to eat, like what are the common, you know, stops, right? So Chipotle is a common fast casual one. Chick-fil-A is another big easy drive-through option. And so how can we save a little bit of money? And also a lot of those ingredients can come from Rowdy's Corner too, whether you get pinto beans, canned beans, dried beans, and rice. You can kind of make the building blocks of a Chipotle burrito bowl, right? And then maybe grab some salsa, whatever kind of veggies you like, you can saute those up, and then add a little cheese or guacamole, and now you have perhaps 2 or 3 days worth of meal prep that likely cost you a lot less than like $15 that you might pay at Chipotle. Or the same thing with, let's say, like, you know, McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or something like that. There's ways that we can get those proteins at home. Some people are comfortable cooking chicken and kind of measuring the temperature so that it's safe. Other people are not. And so in that case, you can definitely get some really good quality frozen, already cooked, like chicken, breaded chicken, right? And then get yourself some buns and have, you know, whatever kind of side that you like. And being able to be a little bit more hands-on in that way at home. But I think sometimes people get paralyzed with like, I don't even know where to start, and it's so overwhelming on Pinterest or food blogs of what recipes I should be trying. And so if you think of, what are some nostalgic recipes that, a loved one might have made, or what's an easy, fast, casual restaurant that I like to go to, and how can I add a little bit more nutrition and also cost savings to a recipe like that by incorporating it at home.
Have you heard a lot of feedback from students saying that they don't have the tools that they need to cook and stuff like that? Is that like the accessibility to like ovens? It's like, so you guys, it sounds like you guys have a lot of options for like microwave and stuff like that, just easier options for the students.
Definitely. Some students have a little bit larger, especially students who live on campus, depending on their dorm situation, they have a full kitchen setup, but other students might only have something like a microwave, a mini fridge, that's available to them. And so in that case, we might brainstorm a little bit more about like cold meals, maybe more like sandwiches, or you can make like a little kind of like those old school Lunchable pizzas if you get like pita bread and tomato sauce and add, cheeses and things like that. And I have students get creative and they might visit a thrift store or something cost effective and get like an electric stovetop, in which that way you can actually boil some water for pasta or boil some water for rice or something like that. So that's why I think one-on-one sessions are really great too, because you can kind of dedicate that time to talk a little bit more about, okay, this is my environment, this is what I feel comfortable cooking, this is how I feel about leftovers, and really just kind of tailor those recipes to that individual person.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty customized for the student, and that's really helpful because especially on a campus like MSU or our area, there's a lot of commuters. They're not really staying on like student housing. So it's kind of all over the place, all kinds of walks of life. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody thinks like, is there one diet or one way of eating? And it's absolutely not. Everybody has different relationships with food and different taste buds, and so nutrition should be individualized to kind of really meet your needs sustainably for a long time.
That's great. It brings up that conversation in a healthy way to be able to address those things, because food can be a really hard topic for a lot of. I mean, I've struggled with it, kind of figuring out like eating can sometimes feel like a chore. So it's like, kind of taking that away and making it a little easier in a crazy schedule.
Exactly. So many times students or even staff, you're so busy, your morning just kind of flies right on by and you might be tempted to do homework or work through lunch, but really being able to kind of think about what are some easy snacks or easy recipes to make sure that you're taking care of yourself before you're taking care of other people.
That's so important.
Yes.
Are there any events or anything else that you would want to make sure that students know about, or last things you'd like to inform the students about?
Yeah, we're starting this semester to do a Lunch and Learn series. So this next one that's going to be in Monday, March 17th, from 12 to 1 is about the gut microbiome, kind of a buzzy topic in the field of nutrition right now. So what does that actually mean when you think about the bacteria in your gut, and how can that help things like your immune system or mental health, or what foods should we eat or be mindful of? So that's coming up. Then we'll do another one of those in April. And then I also do an intuitive eating group series. So this is more focused on body image and just kind of gaining a little bit more critical thinking around some of the misinformation that exists around nutrition, and start to focus a little bit more on what your individual body needs are. And so that is a 3-part series. We did the last one, in February. It's already March. We'll do another one next week, and then the last one will be in April. So people are welcome to join that as well. Yes.
Perfect. So you mentioned the YouTube channel and the website. Are those the only places, or what's the name of the YouTube channel so we can make sure and put that out there?
Health Center at Auraria. And then we do have their healthcenter1.com is the website. And my colleague Maggie, she runs the health education and outreach. So she has an Instagram, the Health Center at Auraria's Instagram too, where you might find all these resources too.
Awesome.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. You've given us a lot of great information today.
Awesome.
Any last things you want to put out there before we?
Just don't hesitate to reach out if you want to make an appointment, or call the health center and ask about any of these resources. We're always happy to kind of guide you in the direction of nutrition counseling. And and I guess we do also have the Healthy Pursuits, which is a free exercise class. And so I know that we have, a couple of different rec centers on campus, but not everybody, pays for those memberships. And so yoga, Pilates, and then Zumba are also completely free to all students on the Auraria campus. So that might be another resource for people to check out.
Yeah, it's important to get moving, especially when you sit down and do homework all the time.
Yes,
so.
or sitting at a computer.
Right. Thank you, Natalie, for coming on our show today. And thank you all for watching and being a part of the MSU Denver community. If you've got a story to share, we want to hear it. Reach out to us. Until next time, take care and keep the conversation going.